What's up? Coach Ariel here, and welcome to Calories 101. We're going to go through setting up your daily calories, why this matters, and exactly how to track this and everything. So, to start off with, I love this quote from Hippocrates talking about if we could give every individual the right amount of nourishment and exercise, not too little and not too much, we would have the safest way to health. And we're going to talk about why this matters so much and what that means. So metabolism is essentially one equation. If you've ever heard calories in, calories out, that is the equation for metabolism. Weight changes come down to one key equation. So your energy in, that's what calories you're eating. Your energy out is how much you're burning. And that equals changes in your body's stores. So your body's stores of energy are like your muscles, your body fat, and that kind of thing. So when you take in more energies or calories than you burn, then you end up gaining weight. And that is called a calorie surplus. When you take in less energy than you burn, you lose weight, and that's called a calorie deficit. When you take in the same amount as you burn, you end up maintaining weight. This is called a calorie maintenance. And we're going to go through what these exactly look like here in a second. And just remember that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It's only transferred from one state to another. Humans can't create energy from nothing. We convert it from food. And any excess energy we take in doesn't magically vanish. Your body either increases energy out, often by turning up the metabolism, or it stores the excess as body fat. And remember this too, you cannot turn fat into muscle. You can only use fat for energy, which results in body fat loss, which is lost through our breath in a complicated process that we might talk about later. Muscle is built through resistance training. Think like your lifting workouts. And it can be built at the same time as fat is lost, and this is known as body recomposition. This is more common for newbies or people new to lifting heavier and pushing themselves to an RPE 8 on most workouts. So this means if you've been in this program for a while and maybe you haven't been really pushing yourself in your workouts and you start really pushing hard now, it is possible that you can get some body recomposition happening. And then this is an energy balance, another way to look at it that kind of influence things. So your energy in, remember this is your calories in, your energy out is how much you're burning. So the things that influence how many calories you're eating are your appetite, how much food is consumed, your calories absorbed, so what your body actually is absorbing, and then psychological factors as well. So you can think your appetite is influenced from your hormones, your food consumed is often influenced by what you have available, your sleep quality, education, culture, that kind of thing. Your calories absorbed are influenced by macro intake, food prep, age, personal microbiome, your health status, energy status. Psychological factors might be your stress levels, mindset, perceived control, self-esteem, sleep quality. So you can see there's a lot that goes into this. Your energy out is your energy burned at rest. So this is called your BMR. Your energy burned through exercise. So this is your exercise activity, so your EA. Your energy burned by non-exercise activity. If you've ever heard of NEAT, that's what this is. Energy burned by metabolizing food. This is called your TEF. So your the thermodynamics of your food. Right, next, so what exactly is a calorie? Your calories are going to be found on nutrition facts, so you can find the nutrition facts for this serving size, 230, and that's where your calories typically are. It is a unit of measurement. When you hear something contains 100 calories, it's a way of describing how much energy your body could get from eating or drinking it. And we burn those calories for energy. To figure out how many calories you actually burn in a day, it takes a lot of equipment, and unfortunately, your fitness watch is probably not very accurate, but you can use it to track trends. For example, if you work out one day and your watch says you burn 500 calories, then another time you do the same workout and you only burn 200, then we can assume that you probably pushed yourself harder on the first workout, and you may need to up the intensity the next time you do this. So as you can see, you might not have actually burned 500 calories, but since there was a large difference between that workout and the other time you did the workout, then we can assume that maybe the intensity wasn't there and you might have burned less calories that second time. And don't go off of your fitness watch or MyFitnessPal to see how many calories you need. We have a trusted calculator for you to use during this presentation. So use that. And then also, we talk about some other ways to track and how to figure out your calories. And remember, each macro contains calories, so by tracking macros, we are automatically tracking calories, and you'll learn more about macros in another module. All right, so how many calories should you eat? This is going to depend on your goals. So if your goal is weight loss, you're going to need to be in a calorie deficit. For people needing to drop weight faster for health concerns, think obesity, surgeries, diabetes, you really just need to be in a deficit. But if you want a more sustainable and healthy approach, you're going to want to use this method here. So losing body fat in particular. If you want to lose body fat, you will need to be eating adequate amounts of protein and be in a slight calorie deficit. Focusing on eating habits like slow eating, using whole foods, chewing thoroughly, eating until 80% full, using less liquid calories, making sure that you hit your step goals, and cardio if needed. Next, we talked a little bit about body recomposition, but if you are looking to do this, you need to be eating adequate amounts of protein and be in a calorie maintenance phase for most people. Now, some people can gain muscle in a deficit, but that is more rare. Next, weight gain. You will need to be eating in a calorie surplus. So this means weight gain might be coming from water, it might be coming from body fat and muscle. For people needing to gain weight faster for health concerns, think cancer treatments, anorexia, general illness. So if you're sick, you really just need to be in a surplus. But if you want a more sustainable and healthy approach, then you might want to look at the muscle gain and strength. And for this, you're going to need adequate protein amount per day, be in a slight calorie surplus with dedicated lifting sessions, focusing on eating habits like undistracted eating, high quality foods, chewing thoroughly. You might need to use more liquid calories if you struggle to eat more calories. And then last, maintaining your progress. So calorie maintenance using mindful eating habits like portion control, being present with food and enjoying every bite, whole foods, moderation of low quality foods, and alcohol. And to start off with, you're going to want to audit your calories. So use a calorie tracker to audit your current intake. For 1 week straight, yes, I'm including the weekends, track everything. This will give you an average amount of calories you're currently eating and will help you to get a better understanding of what you currently eat and its calorie content. So you're going to learn a lot through this process. And then you want to track your progress over a week. Did you lose, maintain, or gain weight? If done correctly, you should be maintaining if you do this right. But if you end up losing or gaining, then you may have accidentally went into a surplus or a deficit, and that's no big deal. Just track another week because more data is best. The more that you have to go off of, the better. Once you have this, you can compare it to the calculator results. You'll learn how to use this in the next step and see where you want to start your calories at. I recommend going halfway between what you tracked and what the calculator actually gave you. So for example, if I came up with 2,300 calories on average for the week and I ended up maintaining weight, then the calculator told me I needed 2,500 calories to maintain my weight. Then I'll go halfway and just start at 2,400 and then see what happens over 2 weeks. And next you want to practice this. So use the calculator to find your calories, Google Precision Nutrition Calculator, and you will find the one that we use. If you can't find it, then let me know and I'll send you a direct link to it. So try it out, compare it to your current calories. Remember this, you may calculate the wrong calories if you are not right on with your activity levels or your current calorie intake. So be honest with yourself, and you can probably underestimate your activity because most of us overestimate this, and it's been proven in scientific studies. We're just like that as humans. After calculating your calories, send to your coach to double check. So you can send this to me or you can send this to your coach and they will double check this for you and then put it into practice. So if you've already been tracking your calories, then you might be able to skip the calculator and move on to the next step. Next is all about adherence. So adherence is going to be the most perfect or the most important thing. Not the most perfect, the most important thing. Adherence means you are sticking to the goal that you set. And we set ranges for adherence because calories are often not completely correct on food labels. So being right on may mean you actually aren't right on, unfortunately. So if you're a perfectionist, let that go. You've got to let that go right now because the FDA doesn't double check most food labels, so you're probably off anyways. But if you're getting within 100 calories of your daily goal, then you'll be close enough to see results when you are tracking calories daily. So, for example, this is how we kind of track adherence on a weekly basis. So you can see here, this person's goal was 2,000 calories a day, and each day they ate the following. So you can see 2,000 one day, 1,800 on the weekend. It usually goes up on the weekend, so 2,400. So their total for the week was around 1,400. I think it was a little higher than this. I might have done the math wrong. And then you divide that by 7 and you get your average. So you can see here that the average is still within 100 calories of our goal. So this is pretty good. You can call this being adherent because you're within the 100 calories. Now here's an example of not being adherent. So just ignore this total here. But if you were to add all of these up and divide by 7, the average comes out to 2342. So that's 342 calories over the goal for the week, which could be the difference between fat loss or maintaining. So you can see here how this would be off a little bit. Now, another example of not having adherence is if you were to track and then you just stop tracking on the weekends, which tends to happen with people who are rooted in the all or nothing mindset. So this might be, and we call this weekday dieting. This might be, oh, like I ate something off my plan, or I ate something I didn't plan for, so I'm just not going to track the rest of the day. And that is a surefire way to not see any results whatsoever. Or you might see results for a short period of time and then stop, because usually these days are either super high or super low, and this throws off your weekly average every single week. So the goal is, if you are a weekday dieter, we want to get out of that all or nothing mindset. Usually this means that you're restricting yourself during the week and then going off the handles on the weekends, and we want to find a way to not restrict yourself during the weeks. So if you find yourself doing this, please talk to your coach and we can talk through a plan to help you with this. Next, methods of tracking calories. So we're going to focus on calorie tracking apps. You're probably already using one right now, or some sort of another method. Now, this is the first one you want to master, is using the calorie tracking app. This tends to be the best way to learn what is in the food you currently eat, and is a way to incorporate flexibility into your diet without feeling restricted. You're able to put in whatever food. All foods pretty much are on MyFitnessPal or our FitAF app, and it allows you to track those calories easily. And we also have tutorials so that you can use this, and also understand too, there is a learning curve. So give yourself grace and patience while you learn. The goal is to eventually get away from tracking with an app, but this usually takes about 6 to 12 months for most of our clients. So for this to really work, you will need to use a food scale at first, and then eventually we'll get into other methods where you don't have to use a food scale. Next, how to track. Math sucks, so we want to use an app for you. Again, MyFitnessPal is my favorite. It does connect directly with my app. You do have a quick reference guide of how much each macronutrients a serving of food contains, which is awesome. So you get a macro profile, and then this app will let you add up, it will add up your macros for you, so you know how many you need for the rest of the day. And then some tips on tracking. I do have a guide specifically for MyFitnessPal, but just to give you a little bit of tips, you want to make sure you're planning ahead. Most people find it helps to plan the meals the night before or the morning of, and this helps you strategize ahead of time, building meals that meet your goals instead of choosing food reactively when you're starving and then you think, oh man, that entire pizza looks good, right? Next, using a food scale. This helps you to measure by weight, and it'll always be accurate doing so. If you measure a food raw, make sure you log it raw. If you measure it cooked, log it cooked. Next, you can save meals on MyFitnessPal. So if you tend to repeat meals every once in a while, having pre-entered and calculated food combinations can make it more efficient for you. And then eating out. If you plan on dining out, log it ahead of time, and that could be a good strategy for sticking to your macros. Check out the menu beforehand and check it out in MyFitnessPal for you to track those. Next, when your adherence is on point, then you can start making adjustments. So when you've hit your calorie goals within 100 calories, on average for 2 weeks minimum, and your sleep, your stress, your activity, hydration, all of that are on point, then you can make an adjustment to your calories. And remember how important those markers are I just mentioned. If you aren't sleeping 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep, then lowering your calories is not going to work well for you. If stress is high or digestion is off, making changes to your calories may worsen these things. So get your biofeedback in order first. If that is all good, then you can make adjustments. So if you are in a deficit and you're trying to get fat loss, lower your calories by 5 to 10% from carbs, fats, or a combination of carbs and fats. You can up your steps and cardio also by 5 to 10%. And remember, going on the more conservative route, like 5% from each of these, is going to be your best bet, because our goal is to lose half a pound to a pound per week. Any more than that, and you might be getting into muscle loss, and you might be getting to a place where your calories are too low. Next, muscle gain or surplus, you can kind of do the opposite. So you up your calories by 5 to 10%, lower cardio and steps by 5 to 10% if needed, and the goal is to gain around half to 0.8 pound on average a week. Some examples of this include fat loss deficit. If I started at 2,000 calories and stopped losing weight for 2 weeks, and all of my biofeedback and adherence is on point, and I didn't end up having any visual progress from my pictures or progress with measurements, then I would decrease calories by 10%. So how you do that is 2,000 times 0.1, so that's 10%, equals 200. So then 2,000 minus the 200 calorie deficit, I get 1,800 calories as my new goal, and I'll do that for 2 weeks and track my progress. And you should start to see fat loss again. Next, for a surplus, if I started at 1,800 calories and stopped gaining weight for 2 weeks, all my biofeedback and adherence is on point, and I don't see any changes in progress pictures or measurements, then maybe I'll increase by 5%. So that's more conservative. So then it's 1,800 times 0.05. 0.05 is the percentage, and that equals 90 calories. So 1,800 plus the 90 calories, 1,890 calories is my new goal. I'll do this for 2 weeks and then track my progress. So for you to practice this, go ahead and pause the video and practice using your own goals. Try 5% increase and decrease, then try a 10% increase and decrease and see what you come up with. Next, all about nutrition periodization. So there are phases of nutrition, and these are necessary to keep you healthy and be less stressful on your body and your metabolism. So if you have over 30 pounds to lose, you may want to implement diet breaks or refeeds to help your hunger hormones and metabolism from adapting to lower calories. A diet break is a week to 2 weeks long of maintenance calories, and you can use the calculator with your new body weight to determine the maintenance to follow during that 1 to 2 week period. So whatever your progress has come up to, you'll redo the calculator with that new body weight that you're at now. And I like to schedule these during vacations, traveling, holidays, or special events to allow for higher calories and more flexibility during that time. A good rule of thumb, though, is every 4 weeks add a diet break. And then if you're dieting for longer, so maybe every 6 weeks, add 2 weeks of a diet break. And you can use this in a surplus too to help lower stress and aid in digestion during muscle gain periods. So if you're in a surplus, you can do a week-long maintenance, which is going to be lower calories for you, to give yourself a little bit of a break. A refeed is a little bit different. It's 1 to 2 days back-to-back of higher calories coming mostly from carbs. So for ease, I like to add 50 to 100 carbs on top of your daily goals and maybe like 10 to 30 grams of fats. And these have been shown to help reverse the hormonal effects of dieting and gives you something to look forward to. I like to schedule them on the weekends. And if you are dieting hard for 8 to 12 weeks, I suggest adding these every 1 to 2 weeks. And then once you reach your goals, go into maintenance calories and start adding in mindful eating days. We'll talk about that more. But eventually you will want most of your days being mindful eating days until you are able to maintain your results without tracking at all, which is ultimately the goal. So to go over common mistakes to make sure that you're not making these mistakes, you want to make sure that you are tracking where you are normally for that 1 week. So if you're trying to hit a certain number instead of doing a true audit, then you're going to struggle with this. So make sure that you are tracking completely honestly every single bite, every single taste, every drink. You want to put everything into MyFitnessPal as much as you can for that entire week to really see where you're at without changing anything. So even if you see something that feels like higher calorie, just still track it anyways. Next, not tracking accurately or consistently. So if you're skipping days, if you're not tracking the full day, then you're going to struggle with this, as you've probably already seen throughout your program. Next, using the calculator once and not double checking to see if it is correct for you. So the calculator, it is possible to mess this up. So do it a couple times and make sure that you come out with the same numbers for at least like 2 times in a row. Next, going too low and ignoring biofeedback. So if you diet yourself down and you're down to like 1,200 calories or less, and you start noticing some bad biofeedback like insomnia, high stress, you're struggling to like you find yourself like binging, you're restricting too much, then that's not good. We don't want to do that. Staying in a deficit too long. So 8 to 12 weeks is best for a small cut if you're looking to lose 10 to 15 pounds. Longer periods of time for more fat loss, like 20 or more pounds, will require those diet breaks and or refeeds we were talking about. Next, cutting too fast. So if you go too low right off the bat, your metabolism is going to adjust to this and you're not going to have much room to play with. Not tracking any progress. So if you're not using photos, if you're not using how your clothes feel, how you feel in general, then you don't really know what's working or what's not working. So make sure you're checking in with yourself. Next, tracking forever with a calorie app instead of implementing mindful eating days. So we do eventually want to get to the point where we're not having to use an app. So if it gives you anxiety to not use the app, then we want to start working on that right away. So what's next? We're going to cover hand-sized portions, which this is my favorite method to use along with calorie tracking instead of a food scale. So there will be a separate video on this as well as the others, which will be for meal planning and mindful eating. So if you have any questions, be sure to reach out to your coach. Make sure you follow FitAF Academy on Instagram, and then share what you learned and tag us in your stories. Thank you so much.